Hey there, it's Maggie. This video is actually following a hack from Steve Ramsey, Woodworking for Mere Mortals. He talked about how to mill up some lumber when you don't have a planer and a joiner. And if you've watched my videos, you know I don't have a planer, and I definitely don't have a joiner. So the first thing I'm supposed to do is I'm supposed to use the fence and cut the wood along the line there so it trims up so one side is very straight. Okay, so that's what I'm doing here. And I'm very nervous about it. I'm still learning the table saw. I can do it, but I still get nervous with it. But pushing it through, and I'm trying to keep it up against the fence. He had used a feather board, but I don't have one, and I can't quite figure out where I would put it if I had one. And then I realized he had that like zero clearance faceplate, and I don't have that either. So I'm going to figure out one of those next. But I stop my blade in between every single cut. Yes, I'm wearing a dressy shirt. I just got home from work. So next I'm going to do that to the other side. So I'm going to use that straight side I just cut. I'm going to run that up against the fence. And then he suggested doing it in 1.5 inch strips. So I'm moving that fence to 1.5 inches. And then I'm going to cut that line that I cut, on the outside. I'm going to put that up against the fence, and I'm going to cut 1.5 inch strips through. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm trying to make sure the fence is straight, square, whatever, and I'm going to run it through. So here I am. And see, I'm really careful. I want it because I remember Steve had said in one of his videos, your blade teeth should be higher than the wood, but not too much higher than wood because it's safer that way. I'm checking this to make sure it really did cut straight because I don't trust myself that I can cut a straight line. So I did that. Then I'm figuring out where to put my push stick so I'll be safe. So I just started it up. Now I'm trying to put as much pressure as I can on the wood on the fence so that we can make sure it stays straight bedded up against that fence, because he said that was really important. So what I did here is I've got the push stick pushing from the back, and then I'm taking this other push stick and I'm using it kind of like he had that feather board, pushing it up against it to make sure it keeps that extra pressure against the fence so that hopefully we can keep the line straight. And I'm going to do that through this whole board, the 1.5 inches, till I've used up this board. And then I stop the blade because I'm a nervous wreck. And I know that probably is why I have some little burn marks on the wood, was because I left it there with a blade. But so now I'm just checking to see if it really did cut on through. And it seems to have cut straight. So I'm going to keep on doing that with the wood. And then I'm actually going to take another piece of wood, because this is cherry, and I'm going to take a piece of oak and do the same thing again. I think this is cherry and the other one's oak. But anyways, one's one, one's the other. And I'm going to cut them all down the way he said. So this is me cutting out another 1.5 inch strip. So now I've finished it. Yeah, see, there's the burn marks. I'm going to line them all up. See, look at that. They actually, it's like actually working. I'm so impressed with myself. It looks pretty straight, don't it? Yay! I'm being a good girl. I'm wearing my ear protection. Okay, now that I've got all the boards cut, it's going to seem weird, but I actually unplugged the table saw and I put the blade down because I'm going to use it kind of like a workbench, and I'm so nervous that I might hit the buttons, and I like my fingers. So I'm actually going to take the fence off, and then I'm like, oh, wait a minute. If I put it there, I won't be able, yeah. It takes me a minute, but I figure it out. So this is where I've just cut it along the sides, And you can tell because while the cut edges are all 1.5, if you do it the other way, it'd be all jiggity jaggedy because they're different widths. And that's where that next part about running it through again. See, I'm looking, I'm like, okay, this is actually seeming to work. And now I'm trying to figure out, okay, how did he show to do that? Yep. I really do talk to myself and do hand gestures. So I'm like, okay, so, and then I'm figuring out I've got to make it so that the thinnest one, you know what I mean, like the skinny one, that's going to have to be our guide to figure this out so that I can make sure that we do it a size for everything. And this is when having that zero, not having that zero clearance, you know, faceplate, is when I realized, ooh, that's going to be a problem because those skinny little pieces can slide down in there and it could cause a problem. So I'm trying to figure out right here where to put the fence. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm kind of like going, okay, do it like this, do it like that. Like, okay, cross our fingers, this might work. So I'm getting them all set up, talking myself into it, walking around. Now at this point, when I've got a brain, kind of a brain in my head, I've got a plan, Stan, I'm plugging it in. Now I'm gonna try it. And now when I've got this all lined up, I'm actually gonna pull the blade up. You know, and just take your time. That's what I do. It seems like I take forever, but when you're just learning, take your time. Double check everything. Make sure it makes sense. Okay? And that's what I'm doing here. I'm just checking blade heights, checking width, checking I got it right, everything else. And now I'm trying to figure out the exact blade height. I think I got it figured out. Okay. And now I'm concerned. I'm like, how am I going to do this with push stick? And you can tell I'm like, okay, this isn't right. This isn't going to work right. How am I going to do this? So this is where I make the executive decision. I'm going to do halvesies. I'm going to keep that pressure against it. So see, I got the pressure against the fence. I'm going to keep the pressure there, but I'm not going to go all the way through. Which I know you people who have a clue are going to tell me you're going to get the burns. You're going to get the burn marks on your wood. Yes, I realize that. Yes, I realize it's going to be a pain in the butt to have to sand that out. I got that. But I'm still learning and I feel safer this way. So you're like, oh, you're going towards it with your hands. I've shut it off already. And then once it's shut off, I'm flipping it over. I'm going to cut it the rest of the way. I just feel safer this way because I don't feel like I'm getting the proper pressure on it with the push sticks, and I don't feel like I have enough control. So this is what I do with all of the boards. Okay. And I'm going to end up doing that on both sides of each board. And I did this at first, but then I was like, you know what? I don't like this. You can kind of see me thinking, you know what? I don't like this. I don't feel like this is safe. So I end up saying, nope, done. And I shut it off. I'm like, I'm not going to do that. That's making me too nervous doing it like that. So now I'm going to go and I'm going to do this with every board. And now I've finished it. So I am now going to look at my handiwork. So I'm lining them all up there and seeing how they look.